Welcome back, everyone. I'm the Bedlock Gamer, and today we're going to be talking about my final thoughts on Shadowrun 5th Edition. After trying it out for about 2 weeks or so, we got to play one game, plus I've been reading up a lot on it, and I just kind of want to preface everything with the statement that Shadowrun 5th Edition is a very deep and complex game that has a good amount of chunk to it, and it can't be tested out in one play session. Honestly, I even think 10 play sessions wouldn't be enough to dive into everything that Shadowrun has available. Nonetheless, our experience is of a group who has not done anything with it before, with a range of experiences, and I feel like that's very important for people who are just looking to get into the game and what our experiences are, especially as fresh as it was. As of the time of this recording, it was about 2 days ago. So, well, actually, it's even less than that. About a day and a half ago at this point. So, with that in mind, just remember, our experience is just one of hundreds of people's experiences with the game system. You know, there are tons of ways you can play the game. There are tons of groups out there. There are tons of DMs out there that I'm sure could run the game and make it more fun than I could have in this short amount of time. And that's something very much to consider. But if you're looking to get into Shadowrun for the first time, either as a player or as a GM, I feel that you'll get a lot from this video. But don't just take my word for it. Let's get to the interviews that I had with my players and see what they had to say about the system. All right, hello, welcome.
Hello, the secret room.
Secrets room. So, first of all, this is your first chance getting to play with us here on the channel, and I apologize it wasn't anything, super long. We only got to play for a couple hours, but how'd you enjoy
Yeah,
your
no,
time
that's
here?
fine. Oh yeah, it was pretty fun getting back into Shadowrun after, all these years.
Good, good. And do you think the session went well?
Yeah, I think it went well. You know what? It's complex rules. Like I said at the start, read the rules for Magic a couple times, listened to videos I could find on YouTube, and it was still complicated. So, but despite the fact, yeah, it went pretty well.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna ask a few questions, just kind of general, based on the game system here. Starting out with, well, what's your experience in tabletop?
All right. Well, I started in high school, middle of high school. So I think my first advanced Dungeon and Dragon game was in '94. So went on for Dungeon and Dragon for, 2, 3 years. Then I locked out. I think I was 17 and 18. I got a job at a hobby shop in Montreal, and I was
Okay.
basically getting paid in books. So you know what? I tried the old Star Wars, D6 Star Wars, Vampire the Masquerade, Shadowrun, GURPS, Earthbound, and Rift, which I really enjoyed. Then other versions of Dungeons and Dragons and other versions of those same games. And most recent, and I took when I had kids, I took a big break, and I think there was a good almost 8 or 9 years without any form of tabletop role playing. Then I got back into D&D 5e. Didn't really like it. Then I found a group local that were playing 3.5, and I've been playing 3.5 with them for about almost 3 years. Different campaigns, low level, high level, underdark. And then I discovered a gift from God, Pathfinder Second Edition, which was really refreshing. And I connected with my high school buddies, and we started a game online with Pathfinder Second Edition. So that's been really great as well.
I'm a big fan of Pathfinder 2e myself. But good,
That's
good.
how I found you.
It's fair.
Yeah.
Uh, all right. So, on the scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate how much fun you had with Shadowrun, 10 being it's the funnest game I've ever played, 1 being I really did not like it and probably won't play it again.
I gave it 7.5, I'd
7.5.
say. Yeah, and you know what? If I get to know the rules a little bit better, if everyone in the group knows the rule a little bit better, create like character with bigger background and all that, I think that could become like an 8 or a 9.
Okay.
And since I tell you, since we had that session 0, like I've been thinking about campaign backstories I could create myself because I feel like with a game that's based on Earth, you can do stuff with in cities with history and all that. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
when you use fantastic settings, it's a little bit more difficult.
Oh, okay. I see. So you're saying you really like the setting specifically
Oh yeah, I
in this
like it.
one?
Yeah, and I have a couple of novels I read back in the days on Shadowrun, and
Mm-hmm.
you know what? There was one with shapeshifters. There was one with like a kind of contract to sell a corporate secret. And yeah, it's I like the lore. I love the lore.
Cool. I actually really like it myself. All right. So for learning the game system, which I think is a very big part of this game, how accessible do you think it is on a 1 to 5? 5 being game's easy. I understood it in no time at all. 1 being I still don't know really what I'm doing with the game at all.
Yeah, I go with 2.5, right in
Two and a
middle.
half. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right in the middle. So it's kind of like it's a little rough, but you kind of are getting the hang of it. Okay.
yeah, exactly.
Was there anything, and I mean, of course, I don't know the system like 100%, and that's fair. But was there anything about the game that you felt like you didn't like, or was there anything particular about it that just didn't jive with you?
Uh, you know what? Not really, but there's so much stuff like Technomancer before about a week and a half ago. I had no idea what there were because I think there was none in second edition, so that's a new
Mm-hmm.
edition. So I still have to grasp like the concept where they fit really in a game. It sounds very interesting. Oh yeah, there's just so much stuff. The more I listen and read about it, it's so deep and so complex at the same time. So I feel like for a group to grasp really the rules and run very smoothly, it's going to take quite a while opposed to other games.
Okay, so what you're saying is, you feel like this game just takes a little bit more to get the ball rolling as far as like how smooth the game goes, and that's
Yeah,
kind of
I feel
rough.
like you need to have a very committed group that's gonna, spend quite a bit of time on learning the complex rules.
Okay. What was your role that you were trying to accomplish in the game? And do you feel like you were able to live up to that role?
Well, obviously, it was a very short game,
Mm-hmm.
but I was going for a kind of magic user that's blaster, uh, but that's got some service or utility spells as well. See, I had invisibility, armor, levitate. If we had to climb the building, I could have lifted someone else or lift myself with the analyze through. So I built it in a way that yeah, I can be good in combat and have some utility on the sides.
Okay, so you went for a combat utility character. And yeah, we didn't really get much chance to let you shine. There was some really cool stuff, and I'm really
Yeah,
sad we didn't get to do more with the magic. It did look awesome, and I like how the lightning bolt worked. I think is very interesting. Could
yeah.
be a
I
nightmare for people with armor.
and there's got the lightning bolt, ball of lightning, which is similar but affects an area. And you know what? I really like the feel of corporation having a mage on their payroll to fight shadowrunners or detect
Mm-hmm.
mages or magical intrusions. So that's really cool.
Yeah, I am sorry we didn't get enough time to let you really shine. There's so many
Oh no,
ways
that's
you
fine.
guys could have
Yeah,
approached the situation, so it's just hard to anticipate. But okay, that's fair. That's fair. 'Fair. I guess the only question I have remaining then is, how likely would you be to recommend this game system to someone else? One being, I would never recommend this to another person. 10 being, absolutely, I'm going to tell all my friends and family about it.
Well, I would recommend it, but not to everyone. It's pretty much like cheesecake. Not everyone cheesecake's not for everyone. So you got to recommend it to the right person, someone who's like willing to invest time in learning the rules.
Okay, so like a 5 or 6 on a scale 1 to 10.
Yep. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, 6. Yep.
Okay. Excellent. Well, I'm glad we could do a lot. I really wish I could have shown off a little bit more of my GMing chops, but this is a game takes so much brain power that it's just hard to dress up the scene. I hope you had a lot of fun, and if there's anything else you want to leave us with, feel free to speak about your experience.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll be around the Discord channel if there's anything else coming up in future.
Okay, cool, excellent. All right, well, that's all I need from you. So I guess we'll drop
Signing
you back
off.
in. Sorry, what's that?
I'm gonna be signing off.
Okay. Well, we'll let you say goodbye to everyone, and then I'll pull the next person in. All right. Well, welcome.
Hello.
A little rudely pulled in there. It seems like
You stole
you were
me.
in the middle of something.
I was talking about what Calidus assassins were.
I see. All right. So, we'll start off with this. I think experience is a very important thing when it comes
Yeah.
to running Shadowrun. So, what's your experience with tabletop?
I mean, I've been playing a good few years now, alongside you guys mainly. I mean, I've been running it, let's see, for like what, 5-ish years now. I've been
Mhm.
rolling with tabletop. Yeah, never like just been kind of going with the flow for systems with whatever you guys show me.
So, like a
I'm real
little,
unexperienced with other systems and like D&D and stuff until
like
like
a little
recently.
above just casual, you would say.
Yeah, that's it. Fine.
Okay. So Shadowrun, right? It's a game. It's a game.
It is in
Uh,
fact a game.
let's start out with an easy question here on a scale 1 to 10. 1 being I hate this game, I never want to play it again. 10 being I can't wait to play. It's not my new favorite game system. Where do you rate your how much fun you had with Shadowrun for this playtest?
Ooh, that's a toughie. Like honestly, Shadowrun first time pretty cool. But the problem is it feels like I need to get like 10 sessions in to understand what this game is, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like I got like it's like someone served me like a whole ass meal. I take a bite of like the bread that came with the table and they took my meal away. And
Yeah, I can see that.
so like it's cool. I'd give it like a good 5 or 6.
Five
Like
or six.
the bit I played was real fun. I guess I mean we'll probably get into it later, but like I enjoyed the role I had.
Mm-hmm.
That like it felt good to like in combat. Like combat felt fun, but that's like kind of all I got to experience because I didn't play a character with much shit outside of it.
That's fair. That's fair. So was there anything about this system that you really didn't like, or was there anything that kind of rubbed you the wrong way? Do you have any grievances with Shadowrun?
Uh, Character creation felt needlessly obtuse at certain
It's
points.
fair,
Like
fair.
the tiered system probably makes sense to people who have played Shadowrun for a good amount. It felt really weird. Character creation was a slog, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of shit to like deal with and juggle. I don't like that style of character creation. It's not fully my thing. I It looked like the tech magic and stuff was like really interesting, but a lot of it also didn't seem to be like my playstyle. I don't think I'd enjoy playing a Decker or a Technomancer character. I don't see
Mm,
myself really liking it. So it's kind of a system where I'd get lumped into like one role where I just do it repeatedly.
I see. So you feel like the character creation was really rough, and you had a hard time your first time really making a
Yes.
character,
If I did it again,
and
I assume I would do it way better, like way cleaner too.
and you feel like at least from your experience, if you're not into a lot of the I guess like psyops kind of cyber hacking or magic stuff, you'd only get one kind of character type, right?
Yeah, I mean, I literally played a rough thing of it, but like my character type I like is the Blade Runner esque like private investigator with a gun, like street samurai kind of guy, or hyper augmented like warrior. Like that's my thing for like these kind of systems.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think accessibility is a really big thing when it comes to Shadowrun.
And that's
For
something
this
I've heard
system,
like coming into it, that like it's tough to get into.
yeah. So, for in your opinion, on a scale 1 to 5, 1 being I still don't know anything about the game, and 5 being I got a good grasp on the game now, where do you rate your like competency?
2, I know how to shoot guns.
2. Okay. Yeah, it's a pretty rough game, I think, overall. Let's talk about, so what role did you want to fill, and did you feel like you're able to properly fill that with Shadowrun?
I wanted to be hyper accurate pistol gunslinger, and I did that. Which I will say, oh my god, the guns felt really fun. That was a good handled gun system. Shooting felt great. Actual like my role in combat felt really fun. I could do a lot of cool shit. Even reading through the actions, like I could do more, but in just this combat scenario, I didn't have to. But like there's so much more stuff I could do, especially with like smart gun systems, like the fact I can just like draw like a blind fire around a corner but actually be accurate with it, like look through my gun around a corner, reload somewhat automatically by thought, by like ejecting a mag when I want. A lot of cool shit like you can do with your action that felt like in future situations, more complicated battle scenarios, you could do a lot of really fun maneuvers.
Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely would you be to play Shadowrun again, standardly, not with what we're doing or anything like that, just based on how fun the game system is? How likely?
Solid like 5.
5.
Yeah, like the rules aren't like jumping out at me as much as like Lancer was, or something that like
Mm-hmm.
Pathfinder does. But like if I don't know, availability plus the right people in the table in a cool concept, yeah. But like the stars need to align for me to really be like, fuck yeah, Shadowrun. I guess big thing is like I didn't feel like I wasted my time.
That's good. I mean, yeah,
I
it's
yeah. I
of
don't think
5
it's a
is pretty
bad
much like,
system.
you know what? If I was convinced that like a campaign sound cool, I would try it. I'd play again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like I think it was an all around good time. It was a worthwhile thing to do. I probably would not seek out and like gush about Pathfinder or Shadowrun to like anyone that would listen, like I have for Lancer.
Mm-hmm.
But like it was pretty cool. I can see why a lot of people like it is the big thing, because
Mm-hmm.
it feels like with proficiency, you can do a lot of goofy shit and make something really, really like efficient, powerful, and just fun and like cool. Like everyone can have a really cool role, do a lot of fun maneuvers. It's just with proficiency of the system, knowing what the rules are, and just knowing your shit, honestly. And, or having the patience to sit down with the equipment, because oh my god, buying equipment, I did was not really a fan of that. I got
Yeah.
really old really quick.
That's fair. Well, I guess it kind of bleeds in. That's pretty much all I got. But if you have anything else about Shadowrun, but you want to kind of say, kind of like your ending statement on it, go ahead.
Overall, I think one of the strongest things Shadowrun has going for it is its setting. The Shadowrun lore and setting is really, really cool and engaging. I am curious how the system compares to something like Cyberpunk, like what was the old one, or Cyberpunk Red, the newer one they released.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to see how they function because, I mean, a cyberpunk city is a cyberpunk city. Granted, the core lore is a bit different for both. I think there's some real potential for Shadowrun. I feel like they just need like they honestly need an edition that's a little more streamlined and a little better, like managed and organized.
A little bit,
Uh,
yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of potential in this system that could be enhanced, but I still, if y'all like and want to talk about your cool Shadowrun characters and the fun goofy shit they can get up to, I'm more than willing to hear it because that sounds fun.
Fair enough. All right, good point. You can find Alex in our Discord, so you can always chat at him there, as well as anyone else. We got a lot of people who do enjoy the game. After all,
Yeah,
some of them joined in for this, for our live performance here, and they really enjoyed it. So, okay,
yeah.
cool. All
I'm
right,
super active in the Discord. If you talk in there, I'll probably respond.
I do my best to. All right, you can tell them they got a couple seconds before I pull someone in.
All right, can do.
Hello.
Hello?
All right. So, just some few questions for you. First, I think it's really important to establish our like proficiency in tabletop. So, how long have you been doing tabletop for?
About 3-4 years now.
3-4 years. Would you say you're new casual or a little above casual or like deep into the role play?
It depends on the game itself.
Just for you generally, like how you
Generally, I'm
feel.
more of a casual player.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that. So, Shadowrun. It's a great game. How much fun did you have with the game on scale 1 to 10? 1 being I hate the game, I never want to play it again. 10 being it's my favorite game.
I would say it's a solid 7. I really do like how everything functions and rolls around.
Okay, so a good 7. You liked how some of the things went. All right, so I think accessibility is really important when it comes to talking about Shadowrun. On a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being I still have no idea what I'm doing in the game, and 5 being, I completely understand the game and I could play it again well. Where would you place yourself at?
I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm a 3. I don't have it fully mastered, but there are a bunch of sections I still get lost on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So somewhere in the middle, kind of like a 3. Okay, that's pretty good. So you feel like this system has got some pretty okay accessibility?
As far as accessibility goes, it's got some pretty good accessibility once you get into it. Coming straight into it, though, it's easy to get lost.
Okay. All right. So Shadowrun, it's a very big game, very deep game. Did you have any grievances with it? Anything you disliked with it?
No, the only thing that I did have a minor grievance, and it's one that can easily be fixed by players itself, is just the heavily implied racism amongst all the groups. That's the only issue I have with it.
Okay. That is, concerning. The game was made in the 80s, and it kind of has a lot of the old D&D, like Lord of the Rings, Gimli, and Legolas are competing with each other. It can be a little rough for some people, but yeah, I can definitely see that being something to kind of dislike. So, what role were you going for, and did you feel like you were able to accomplish that in this game?
The role I was going for was for the group hacker, and I really think I did accomplish it, and the Technomancer is a really good, useful build for that.
Yeah, and you know what? I want to go a little bit deeper into this because you got to do a lot of stuff this session. I think you got some of the most screen time for the stuff you were doing. How did that feel?
As far as the stuff and the utility I was able to do, it felt really good. If you're talking about how much I was in view for the audience, I'm a little more camera shy on that aspect.
Well, no, I'm not talking about like that. I'm just talking about like when we were playing the hacker, like really, how did it feel? Did you feel like what was the experience?
It was rather enjoyable. It was nice getting to jump into the verse and just walk around, physically interact with the firewall to get through, being able to analyze data and then create my own sprite. All of that was really fun to just mess around with. It gave me plenty of options as far as stuff outside of combat went.
That's fair. Okay. How likely are you to play Shadowrun again on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being I never want to play this game again, it's a bad game. 10 being I absolutely can't wait for another session.
I think I'm at a solid 7 with this one. I really do like it, and I feel like I just need a bit more practice to get into it, but I am loving a lot of the stuff that I can do.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, that's pretty much all I need from you. But give us a closing statement on your experience with Shadowrun. How anything else you want to kind of air out or get out about the system? Go ahead.
I mean, it's definitely a lot of fun. It's great if you want to play more of a cyberpunk kind of fantasy theme, and I do enjoy that. I would definitely recommend it for anyone wanting to get into it, just with forewarning that this is super number heavy at the start, and it's only after you get into it that it finally starts to even out a bit. That's the only forewarning I could give anyone trying to get into this game.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. I guess we're going to pull in our last member here. Tell Devin he's got a few seconds before I grab him. All right. So, got some questions for you. I think Shadowrun's a very interesting game. Gonna be a little different than what we did with Lancer. But first and foremost, how much did you like the game on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being absolutely hated the game, never want to play it again, 10 being you really like the game and it's your new favorite system, where do you place yourself?
Give it a 5.
Okay. Solid 5.
Yeah.
Can kind of take it or leave it.
Yeah, it's just not a lot of information on it so far, honestly.
That's fair. And you know what? That's actually a good point. Let's ask about that. I think like talking about accessibility and proficiency with tabletop in general is really important when it comes to talking about Shadowrun. So, what's your experience with tabletop?
I think pretty significant. I've played a lot of White Wolf games, Anima, D&D, Pathfinder, Lancer, briefly.
Fair. So, would you consider yourself like a veteran tabletop player?
Oh, for sure. Since you
Cool.
dragged me into it at the ripe old age of 15.
Fair. Okay. So speaking on accessibility, how much do you feel like you got a handle on the game system? 1 being, I still don't know how to play the game. 5 being, I think I could run it again without any help.
I would say I don't quite have the baseline for the system, but I definitely feel a lot more comfortable than I did for sure.
So 1 to 5, where do you put it?
I would say maybe around a 3.
Around a 3. Okay. That's not too bad. So you feel like it's accessibility isn't all that bad, do you feel? Or
I would say when you're building your first character, it's going to be a little rough, just because like it's a hefty book, and some of your stuff are in 5 places in the book. So I would probably say it's kind of similar. It's kind of the in between Pathfinder and Anima, I suppose, in difficulty for sure.
well, for people who don't know what those systems are, so you're saying it's somewhere between like a really dense, number heavy system and something that's a little bit more streamlined, kind of like the newer editions of tabletop.
Yeah, I would actually probably liken it similarly to, though a more complicated version, of course, of like Scion or Exalted.
So some of the White Wolf games, if anyone's familiar with that. Okay. All right. Do you have any grievances with the system? Did anything kind of rub you the wrong way?
I think if I ever do a melee one, a character again, it's probably not going to be with like a club, because the club's accuracy hits like 4 is their highest. So I'd probably do just like fisticuffs or maybe something that has probably a better chance of getting around some of these dodges.
Okay, so you feel like your build didn't quite do what you wanted it to, and you didn't really kind of figure that until after you started playing.
I mean, I think my build was mostly just tank support. So, like, it's not like I'm going to be doing a lot of damage. I don't know. I just don't think the club would have cut it if I in the system.
Okay. All right. That's fair. That's fair. Speaking of role, what was the role you were really kind of going for, and do you feel like you were able to accomplish that in the session?
Well, the main thing was tank and support, and I was able to support with like some kind of minor information gathering, so that wasn't too bad. And then tank, honestly, your main goal is to make sure nobody else gets hurt, and if we're going by that parameter, I did fantastic.
Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't really get to do a whole lot in the session. Your guys' surprise attack was pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah,
The deep fake.
the deep fake was just a very amazing plan thought up by some other members, and they knocked it out of the park. What can I say?
That's fair. That's fair. How likely are you to play the game system again? On 1 being nah, not really. 10 being I really can't wait for another session.
I'd say about a 7. I would like to give it another go.
You like to give it another go? Okay. Okay, that's pretty good. With that in mind, that's pretty much all I need from you. But if you wanted to, say anything else, give us your closing statement on Shadowrun. Your final thoughts on the system.
Character creation is going to be a little, if you're not used to making characters like extensively, it's going to be a little rough. But once you start to get a handle on it, it's pretty fun. The buying part of it is, if you have like oodles of money, could be very easy or very hard depending on what you're buying. you might get a little burnt out at the end of a buying session. So I would not leave it for the day of, for sure.
Yeah, very, very much. We had a little bit of that today, but it's all good. It's all good. All right, cool. Thank you. All right, well, I guess we'll just hop into the other room and then we'll close out here. All right, with that said and done, I guess all there is left is really for me to give my final thoughts on the system. Shadowrun 5th Edition is a really great game when it comes to what it tries to provide, which is a very fun cyberpunk / fantasy feeling. And honestly, it's an experience in tabletop you really can't get anywhere else. I absolutely adore the lore that cyberpunk, the lore that Shadowrun has developed for its setting. I think that the designers have had a really good vision of at least the overall aesthetic or feel. And not only that, but when it comes to more complex systems, you get a lot of flexibility in playstyle decisions and choices that players can make. Because Shadowrun doesn't necessarily have a very hard class-based system, you can play your character with a lot of different playstyle choices. Now, of course, some of your stat attributions at the beginning of the game, as well as the things you need to focus on to make sure that you're capable of meeting the challenge, will restrict some of what things you can choose when you're leveling up. But if you want to play a magic casting hacker, you're fully capable of doing so. The only thing that really doesn't mix well with the system is when it comes to the magic / resonance system, whether you're a magician or technomancer, and augments, whether it's cybernetics, bioware, all that kind of stuff. And that's mostly purely for the fact that the more cyberware you get, the less essence you have, which reduces those scores overall. And while it's a balancing choice and one that I find very interesting, and not only that, but I'm sure online there's a variety of decent cyberware combinations that can go well with magic casting, it's still a very limiting factor. And honestly, one I'm very sad about. For someone who likes Warhammer 40k, at least as casually as I do, I love the Adeptus. I like their kind of technomancer feeling, and playing a fully cybernetic augmented wizard in Shadowrun just sounds like something that should belong in the system and really doesn't, which is kind of sad, honestly. And I understand the lore reasons behind it. I understand, it's the duality or the complementary nature, not complementary. It's when you have two opposing forces that kind of make up the same whole. It's a duality, I guess. Is magic is the purity of life in the world, and cybernetics is kind of depriving that for the benefits of power. And they both make the setting really, really good. What makes Shadowrun different than other tabletops is the fact that it's a really good blend of some fantasy elements and some very cyberpunk / high urban kind of settings. It's a really good game for that alone, and it's a game that I would recommend that you try it out if you're an experienced tabletop player. And that's where everything kind of comes down when it comes to the game's, I think, overall success. There's a lot of nonsensical math in the game. There are a lot of systems I feel are needlessly too complex. And not only that, but this game is not very new player friendly. The core book needs the errata to work well. It's not like the errata just helped clear some things up. No. The errata is absolutely necessary to use the core book. Not only that, but finding particular bits of information in the core book is overall a disaster. And I had a similar experience when I was getting into Pathfinder 2E for the first time, which is another similarly, though not as dense, chunky system, or at least in compared to D&D 5e. And similarly, Pathfinder 2E's core book is a little bit of a mess sometimes. It's really hard to find the information you're really looking for. And Shadowrun, it's more egregious because of how some of the rules work. and the fact that you are looking in a section of the book and it refers to something, but it doesn't tell you exactly where you can find it or how to even set some of those numbers up. It's truly atrocious. And unlike Pathfinder 2E, there's not a real good online source where you can easily find that information. So, as far as Shadowrun 5th edition is concerned, the system is very hefty. It's not very new player friendly, and it's really easy to get lost in the rules. And I think even more than any of that, for a GM, this game is so intimidating. I am a very experienced GM. I've been doing this for about 2 decades at this point now. And I have to say that I feel really comfortable with learning new game systems. I was always the one who was bringing games to my friends. And, I was always very excited. There's many times I picked a game book up and played it same day. Not well, almost never well. But I felt comfortable enough to do so at that time. Unfortunately, when it comes to Shadowrun 5th edition, even after a full week of reading the book, I was very nervous about setting up a session 0. And by the 2-week mark, when we actually did play the game, I was still competently enough able to run the session, but I definitely did not feel as comfortable as I have running other game systems, given the same amount of time to research it. And not only that, the books are so dense with rules and all kinds of things. The game system just did not really flow well. But I will say that once you understand the game and once you understand the system, I think the game can start running much better and much more smoothly. I think it's just a very high barrier to entry. But once you get in, then it becomes a lot easier and a lot more fun. And a lot of the interviews that you all just saw really proves that. It's just about getting it into the system first. The dice system is not that bad. And, with online sheets like we had on Roll20, it makes it a lot easier. Some people in the comments even mentioned that playing tabletop Shadowrun 5th edition is a bit of a nightmare because of how big the dice pools can get, and counting plus the math plus how you change your character sheets given certain situations. It's a lot. So overall, if you enjoy tabletop that has a fair amount of crunch to it and you are hankering for a really good cyberpunk feeling tabletop game that has elements of D&D in it, because in the end, Shadowrun, and all of Shadowrun, but 5th edition especially, very much feels like D&D 3.5 in a lot of respects. The core dice system is different, and some of the mechanics definitely do not work the same, but the general feeling, what the writers were going for, I feel like line up pretty well. And that is a very unique experience. There's not any other tabletop games out right now that does this kind of setting and this kind of game system as well as Shadowrun does. And while I can't speak on the newer edition, I was recommended 5th edition by people who do really enjoy the Shadowrun series. So, something to consider as well. And overall, I would say I would play it again. I would do a good short campaign, maybe 25 sessions, something like that with Shadowrun. It's definitely, I would say, a B tier tabletop game. You need to get to there. It starts off as a pretty D experience, but it can build up really fast once you understand what the game is actually giving to you. So with that, that's pretty much all I got to say on it. I know this review is going to be a little bit longer than the last one we did, but honestly, there's just so much to talk about when it comes to Shadowrun. And I didn't even mention the fact that for my game specifically, I had to learn 3 whole different sets of rules for Technomancy, which I had to learn the hacking system, for normal deckers with it as well. The magic system I had to look into and see how that worked. Fortunately, we didn't do too much with it, but also, sadly, we didn't do too much with it. So, I didn't have to look in the book so much, but I really did want to see more of what was capable of. And then honestly, gearing up and setting up a rigger was really hard, a lot harder than I was expecting. I was expecting a rigger to be just a slightly more difficult, like Street Samurai in design, and no, that's very far from the case. A rigger's a very different kind of character, and Street Samurai is pretty easy. I gotta say, if you got a bunch of Street Samurais, you're probably not going to struggle too much. But that's not where the game shines. The game definitely shines with the variety. So, yeah. Anyway, that's it. I'm done. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you've liked it, please like and subscribe to see more content like this. We're going to be having a poll coming out soon after this video to find out what game we're playing for May and at the end of May. So if you're interested in that, please keep an eye on the channel. The poll will be coming up on the community tab, as well as you can join us in the Discord linked below, and I will always recruit there for my games first before anywhere else. So if you want the chance to play with me and my friends, that's the place to be. We got a constantly growing community. We got tons of people coming by all the time. And we talk all things tabletop, not just RPGs, things like Warhammer 40k, which is a very popular subject on the channel right now. So I hope you all enjoyed this little interview. I hope you watched the session 0, or not session 0, the one shot to kind of get a feeling for what the game is like. And I hope this video helps someone out someday. So leave the bad luck to me. Good luck with your games. And I'll see you all next time. Bye.